Welcome to the 11th session of Healthy Head and Healthier Mind. You can see this picture on the screen. The percentage of syllables recalled after the syllables have been taught to children. After remaining awake, after about 8 hours, the percentage of syllables recalled is hardly around 15%. But if the same children, after they went to sleep, when they woke up, the percentage of syllables recalled after they slept and when they woke up, that is around 55%. Which means that without any interfering events, the recall is better even if the person slept. As you can recall, the synaptic connections that are happening inside the brain, during sleep, the brain goes into a diffused mode where the brain relaxes itself, it detoxifies itself, and that is when the synaptic connections are firmly established. Whereas in the awakened state, the brain will be in the focused mode and all the synaptic connections may not be firmly established because in the awakened state, there are many other sensory inputs. So this picture clearly indicates how sleep can also help in increasing of the memory recall, just like meditation can help. So many times people think that after the sleep, they forget. No, during sleep, what to forget, what to remember, that particular process is going on. It is effective memory management that is going on during sleep itself. So this is a clear indication. That is when it becomes necessary that we should remain in a relaxed state so as to enhance our memory recall. Let me discuss the types of health. There are three classifications of health called physical health, mental health, and spiritual health. Physical health, its purpose is the working ability of the body, and its outcome is the useful body. The purpose of the mental health is pure memory, and its outcome is peaceful mind. The purpose of spiritual health is self-realization, and its outcome is useful soul. So in general, whenever people talk about health, they in general talk 90% of the time only about physical health, whereas so many of the diseases are basically psychosomatic diseases. If I have to give you an example, the late Princess Diana had two diseases called bulimia and anorexia. Bulimia means after eating stomach full also, that satisfaction of eating will not happen. When the satisfaction of the eating does not happen, then again somehow the patient will try to vomit out whatever is consumed and try to consume the food once again so as to satiate hunger. This is called bulimia. Means even if the stomach is full, the acid secretion will be so high that hunger will not be satiated. Anorexia is the reverse of it. Anorexia means the patient will never feel hungry, even if the body becomes hungry also, body becomes exhausted also, the person will not become hungry. Strangely, the late Princess Diana was suffering from both of these diseases. At some period of time, she was suffering from bulimia. At some period of time, she was suffering from anorexia, even though she was in one of the richest families on earth. Which simply means that it is not the issue of the physical health, it is the issue of the mental health. And Swami Vivekananda had told a very beautiful sentence that the major issues for health problems on this earth are not the lack of food, but it is the excess of food. He directly indicated that people have changed their lifestyle and they have gone away from the natural type of food and they have synthesized many types of artificial mechanisms for food production, and due to which they consume excess of food, and majority of this food is not from the natural style of living, and due to which people suffer. So the health is not just physical health, it is a mental health also, it is a spiritual health also. People may strangely think, what is there as a spiritual health? Yes, as long as a person does not understand himself or herself properly, they keep on having assumptions over themselves. And as long as the assumptions remain wrong, there will be a disconnection between the mind, body, and the soul. So that is where spiritual health also becomes very much necessary. But hardly anybody talks about spiritual health. Mostly they keep on talking about physical health. And even if they talk about mental health, in the very famous mental hospitals also, the rate of discharge and the rate of admission, just compare them. How many patients are effectively discharged after what amount of time of treatment and with what type of treatment? Just think about it. Mental health is basically either due to the corruption of memory, gradually whatever is stored is wrong, due to which partly mind is damaged, partly brain is damaged. If the brain is damaged, it takes its own time for the brain to reconstruct its own wiring. Until then, if sedatives are given or if electric shock is given, that is not the solution for mental health. But under adverse circumstances, just to pacify the patient, they are forced to give sedatives or electric shock at times. But that is not part of treatment. That is only a process of postponing the problem. So, in the ancient days itself, in this particular holy land, they had understood the importance of physical health, mental health, and spiritual health. And that is how Ayurveda, the science of Ayurveda, was formulated so as to have physical health. And the science of yoga was formulated so as to have mental health. Yoga has various definitions. One of the famous definitions is Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha, means the restraint of the memory itself. If the memory can be effectively controlled, memory storage as well as memory recall, if it can be effectively controlled, and if the vrittis of the memory, vrittis of the chitta, Patanjali calls it as pramana, viparyaya, vikalpa, nidra, smriti. These five he calls it as chitta vritti. If these vrittis can be restrained, then that is what is yoga. When people practice yoga, they practice asana, they practice pranayama, they practice pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, and all. But the ultimate purpose of yoga is through dhyana to attain samadhi, through dhyana to become egoless. So, dhyana is the process of reduction of the ego. That will gradually lead to union of ego with the self. So, yoga is a highly sacred science. The practice of asana and pranayama is actually going to yield a physical health, but that is an added benefit. The purpose of yoga is not physical health. The purpose of yoga is basically mental health, egolessness, reduction of the ego, such that human can be in contact with the divine. That is the basic purpose of yoga. And if they keep on making marketing of the yoga just for the sake of physical health, then there's a huge gap between the real purpose of yoga and whatever people practice for that matter. In the whole of Yoga Sutra, Patanjali has never mentioned much about asana. He simply says only one sutra, Stiram Sukham Asanam. And then he discusses only some basic postures of asanas, and those are discussed basically for the process of meditation, not for the purpose of health. Nowhere in the Yoga Sutra, Patanjali talks about physical health. But as everything is becoming an industry, people made yoga also as an industry. And sadly, there is chair yoga, there is beer yoga, there is naked yoga, there is hot yoga, there is Iyengar yoga, there is Bikram yoga. Very sad to say. Yoga is one. There are no different names of yoga. True yoga is the studying of the Bhagavad Gita and practicing whatever is told in the Bhagavad Gita. That is the true yoga. The 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita, each one chapter is called as one yoga. Arjuna Vishada Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, Karma Yoga, Jnana Karma Sannyasa Yoga. That way it goes on. All the 18 chapters are named with the suffix of yoga. So yoga is basically for mental health. And the study of Vedanta in a clear and concise manner gradually leads to self-realization, gradually unravels so many secrets of this particular existence of life. So that way, for physical health, Ayurveda was prescribed. For mental health, yoga was prescribed. And for spiritual health, Vedanta was prescribed centuries before, millenniums before. My effort has been that in my earlier presentation, we focused more on physical health. In this particular presentation, we are discussing more of mental health. And in my third concluding presentation, I am going to discuss more about spiritual health only, or about self-realization only, or about the secrets of spirituality. So for body, I have a definition, B-O-D-Y, birth of divine you. Your body was not designed by your parents. Your body was designed by the divine. Divine himself or divine itself materialized inside the womb. And parents were just instrumental. Neither the mother nor the father. They did not design your body. They did not manufacture your body. Your body, even though they say it is a zygote, it is an embryo, those cells have got consciousness. Each and every cell in the body has got its own consciousness. And it is a conscious combination of many elemental formulae so as to have one for DNA. That is how, even with the twins, there are characteristic differences. Even with the twins, there are psychological differences. So each body, I should call it as BODY, body is birth of divine you. Now this will become more clear in my third presentation. And regarding mind, I had already told, move inward, now discover. This is not my own definition. This has been mentioned by Swami Sukhabodhananda. I have just quoted it here. Move inward, now discover. In general, always you are moving outward. And as long as you keep on moving outward, you will never be able to understand your own mind. So if you have to understand mind, you have to understand thoughts, understand emotions, you will have to gradually move inward. Soul is source of unconditional love. This is my own definition. In general, wherever mind is working, when mind is working along with the intellect, along with the ego, along with the memory, there will be a feeling of me and mine. As long as there is a feeling of me and mine, that love becomes conditional. In general, we love only those people whom we think are ours, and all others we don't love. The way in which parents love their own kids, they don't love the neighbor kids in the same way. That means there is a difference between what they actually call it as love and what actually is their feeling. When Jayalalitha was asked why she remained unmarried in spite of having so much of wealth and in spite of having so much of name, then she told, I could not find an unconditional love where a person will marry me only for being myself. Person should not marry me for the sake of my beauty or for my wealth or for my name. I could not find a person. And finally, she concluded that there may not be unconditional love on this earth. She was correct. There will not be unconditional love as long as there is mind. But soul is the cause of the mind is the cause of the body. So, soul as such is unconditional. God as such is loving his universe or loving his life unconditionally. God does not differentiate between whether a worm or a bird or a human, for that matter. For God, everybody is a part of life. That is when he unconditionally produces all types of food in nature. Kanakadasa used to say in one of his kirtana or bhajana in Kannada that ಕಲ್ಲೊಳಗೆ ಹುಟ್ಟಿ ಕೂಗುವ ಕ್ರಿಮಿಕೀಟಗಳಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ಲಲ್ಲಿ ಆಹಾರವಿತ್ತವರು ಯಾರು ಬಲ್ಲಿದನು ಕಾಗಿನೆಲೆ ಆದಿಕೇಶವರಾಯ ಎಲ್ಲರನ್ನೂ ಸಲಹುವನು ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂಶಯವಿಲ್ಲ ತಲ್ಲಣಿಸದಿರು ಕಂಡ್ಯ ತಾಳುಮನವೇ. That was the great wisdom which Kanakadasa exhibited. ಅಡವಿಯೊಳಗಾಡುವ ಮೃಗಪಕ್ಷಿಗಳಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಅಡಿಗಡಿಗೆ ಆಹಾರವಿತ್ತವರು ಯಾರು ಪಡೆದ ಜನನಿಯ ತರದಿ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಹೊಣೆಗೆ ಈಡಾಗಿ ಬಿಡದ ರಕ್ಷಿಪನಿಗಿದ್ದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಂದೇಹ ಬೇಡ. A great wisdom is implied in that particular kirtana which Kanakadasa had written. That is how the full form of soul is source of unconditional love. And what is life? L-I-F-E, life, living in further evolution. This will become more clear in my third presentation, as I've already been telling you since many times. The present human form is the product of the physical evolution. And the present human beings have been given a certain amount of freedom. By means of this freedom, now the human beings are supposed to evolve mentally. If they do not evolve mentally, then they may be eradicated. Because basically life is living in further evolution. That is the basic purpose of life in whichever form. Until human beings, it was a physical form of evolution. Now it is a mental form of evolution which is expected or which is planned. This freedom is given so that freedom has both the choices. Either to increase the ego or to reduce the ego. If the ego is increased consciously, then it will be destructive. If the ego is reduced consciously, then it will be constructive. This freedom is given to the human beings. It is up to them to use this freedom cautiously and carefully. That is how life is living in further evolution. Cherry Carter Scott has written a book called Life is a Game and These Are the Rules. Very beautifully, in his book, he has put these 10 rules for being human. I'll just read out one by one. First rule, you will receive a body. You may like it or hate it, but it is yours to keep for the entire period. Some people, when they have a beautiful body, they may like it. Some people, when they have an ugly body, they may hate it. But they cannot do anything with it. It is yours to keep for the entire period. Many years before, I saw the interview of Moon Sen in the television, and the interviewer was asking her, आप अपनी सिनेमाओं में इतने बदन क्यों दिखाती हैं? Then Moon Sen laughingly told, भाई बदन है इसलिए दिखाती हूं, जिनको बदन नहीं है वो नहीं दिखाती हैं. She simply told, because I have the body, I am exhibiting it. Now she was so ignorant that the beauty which she is having is not actually her own earning. If somebody is beautiful, for having that beauty, they have not done anything. If there is a flower which is very beautiful, then the plant has not done anything for the beauty. The beauty came out of the plant as a consciousness. Similarly, if somebody is beautiful, they need not become arrogant over their beauty that they are looking so beautiful because they did not put any effort for having that beauty. It is God who imparted beauty into that particular body. Otherwise, how come a small peacock's chick, when it is coming out, when it gradually grows into a male peacock, from where the beauty is coming? It is not because of the peacock's effort. If a weaver bird is weaving a beautiful nest, from where that skill is coming? Through the consciousness. So you will receive a body. You may like it or hate it, but it is yours to keep for the entire period. Second rule, you will learn lessons. You are enrolled in a full-time informal school called life. It's an informal school. You will learn lessons. Third rule, there are no mistakes, only lessons. There are no mistakes, only lessons. Growth is a process of trial, error, and experimentation. The failed experiments are as much a part of the process as the experiments that ultimately work. Fourth lesson, lessons are repeated until they are learned. This particular sentence I loved a lot. That's why I keep on quoting this particular sentence. Lessons are repeated until they are learned. A lesson will be presented to you in various forms until you have learned it. When you have learned it, you can go on to the next lesson. Fifth one, learning lessons does not end. There is no part of life that doesn't contain its lessons. If you are alive, that means there are still lessons to be learned. Learning lessons does not end at all. I want to tell you a small story now. One balloon seller was selling balloons near a playground. Daily he used to come to that playground, and just to attract the children to come to him, because children used to keep on playing in the playground, just to attract them, as soon as he used to come, he used to release one particular balloon, and that balloon used to go up in the air. When the balloon used to go up in the air, children used to see that balloon, and they used to understand that the balloon selling uncle had come, and they used to rush there to purchase the balloons. This was his marketing trick. One particular kid was always coming there, and he was just looking at the balloon seller releasing his first balloon, and he used to simply watch and he used to simply go away. He never used to purchase any balloon. The balloon seller had different colored balloons. Each day he used to release one or the other colored balloons. Some day white, some day green, some day orange, some day pink, something like that. One day this balloon seller observed that this particular boy is coming there and he is just watching. He is not purchasing any balloon. So next day the balloon seller casually asked this fellow, "Why, my dear, you are daily coming here, you are not buying any balloon from me?" Now that boy said, "Uncle, I am waiting for you to release that black colored balloon." And balloon seller said, why? And the boy said, I doubt whether the black colored balloon will go up or not. The balloon seller simply laughed and he released one black colored balloon. It simply went up. Now the balloon seller said, my dear child, all the balloons will go up as long as they have air. It is not the color of the balloon which is important. It is the air that is important. It is not the outside appearance that is important. It is what that is inside the balloon that is important. And the boy understood a great lesson. And then the balloon seller asked him, why did you ask this question? Then that boy said, Uncle, I am black in color. So people keep on calling me Kalia, Kariya, Kala, and they keep on mocking at me. And many times I think that I may not come up in life at all because my black color itself is my limitation. Now this balloon seller told, my dear child, it is not the external appearance that is important. It is the inner strength that is important. This particular story I read in one very beautiful book called You Can Win, written by Shiv Khera. All of you should read that particular book. Very beautiful book. And whenever I remember this story, I remember Abraham Lincoln. He was a black person and he was a failure in his younger days. He used to sleep in a horse shed and he used to sleep on a wooden plank. So much of poverty. Even his married life was also not really very happy. And he had a lot of suffering. He became the president of USA at the age of 51. Until then, he had a lot of sufferings. In spite of all that, every time one hour suffering used to happen, he used to simply say that this too will pass away. This too will pass away. And he developed that much of patience and courage. And because of him, today in USA, at least to some extent, there is liberty. People are not differentiated based on the color of the body. But there are still some stupid people who still think that the external appearance itself is great. They will have to learn their lessons because learning lessons does not end. There is no part of life that doesn't contain its lessons. Lessons are repeated until they are learned. And if you are alive, that means there are still lessons to be learned. Sixth one, there is no better a place than here. When you are there has become here, you will simply obtain another there that will again look better than here. Many times people keep on hating wherever they live or in whichever nation they are, sometimes whichever language they speak, in whichever state they are. I have many examples where I have personally observed that the people who go to USA for higher studies, most of the time they stay there for few years. In the beginning of those few years, they keep on admiring the USA and they keep on hating India. After some time, they will have something called nostalgia, where they will again start feeling for India, but they will be stuck up at USA for some other reason. They will not be able to come back to India. Then they try to re-establish the connections with their Indian counterpart. The thing is, why do they hate anything for that matter? ಇದ್ದಲ್ಲೇ ಇರಬೇಕು ಬಿದ್ದಲ್ಲೇ ಹುಡುಕಬೇಕು is one proverb told in Kannada. Let me tell you one more story because I remembered one more story. One old lady was searching for something in front of her house. And one traveler who was going on the way, he thought let him help this old lady. He also kept on searching in the front yard. But he could not see anything on the front yard there. She was also searching, he was also searching. After a few minutes, as he could not find anything there, he asked the old lady, what are you searching for? Then she said, my needle has fallen down, I am searching for it. And this person said, I have been also searching along with you, but I am not seeing any needle anywhere here. Where exactly it is? Which location? Then the old lady said, no, it has fallen in the kitchen. Now this fellow said, if it has fallen in the kitchen, why are you searching here? Then that lady said, inside the kitchen there is no light. Here there is bright light. That's why I'm searching here. Now the person said, you have to go into the kitchen and somehow make a provision for light. You have to search there only because the needle is there only. There is no point in searching here. That is how people are most of the times. ಇದ್ದಲ್ಲೇ ಇರಬೇಕು, ಬಿದ್ದಲ್ಲೇ ಹುಡುಕ್ಬೇಕು. Wherever you are there only you should try to attain stability and find out the truth. But the problem with these people most of the time, especially with the modern educated people, is that they forget the place or forget the parents or they forget the system which made them that way in the initial days, and they think that happiness is elsewhere or ambitions are elsewhere, achievements are elsewhere. They are wrong that way. That is why the sixth lesson, there is no better place than here. When your there has become a here, you will simply obtain another there that will again look better than here. If people keep on moving from place to place, searching for happiness, they may not get it anywhere, because happiness is a state of mind. Happiness is basically a state of mind. Now the seventh rule, other people are merely mirrors of you. You cannot love or hate something about another person unless it reflects to you something you love or hate about yourself. Most of the times, the behaviors of the people reflect their own inner nature. If somebody is angry on me, it simply means that somebody is angry on himself or herself. That is when they become angry on somebody else. So, other people are merely mirrors of you. You cannot love or hate something about another person unless it reflects to you something you love or hate about yourself. I used to keep on telling in my classes, especially in the engineering college classes, that particular sentence, give respect and take respect, is wrong. You don't have to give respect. You don't have to take respect. You keep your own respect. Let me keep my own respect. You need not give respect to me because I have my own respect. Why should you give it to me? I need not take respect from you. Why? I will take respect from you if I don't have my own respect. Isn't it? It is very funny to say that give respect and take respect. When will you give money to somebody? Somebody who does not have money, you will give it to him. When you give food to somebody when they don't have a food, you give it to them. When do you give clothes to somebody? When they don't have clothes, you give it to them, right? When do you give respect to somebody? When they don't have respect on themselves also? So you don't have to give respect and take respect. Keep your respect for yourself. Let me keep my respect for myself. Because we are all mirrors that way. Eighth rule, what you make of your life is up to you. There is a freedom given. You have all the tools and resources you need. You have all the tools. In the Sankhya Shastra, Kapila says, human body is made up of 24 factors. And I have already told you those 24 factors. Using these 24 resources, what you make of yourself is up to you. You have been given the freedom either to evolve or to dissolve. Each one has his own or her own choice. Right now, if you are listening to me, then that is your own choice. If you are decided to attend this session, that is also your own choice. If you decide to discontinue this session, then that is also your own choice. You have all the tools and resources you need. It is up to you to make use of it. What you do with them is up to you. The choice is always yours. Every time the choice is always yours. That is how the law of karma is working. Your answers lie within you. This is still more important. Your answers lie within you. The secret is there in between your awakened state, dreaming state, and sleeping state. In the awakened state, you are the body. In the dreaming state, you are the mind. In the sleeping state, you are the soul. But as soon as you wake up, you relate yourself with your own body. Then you see a beautiful body, ugly body, thin body, thick body, black body, white body, male body, female body. All the differences people create as soon as they wake up. But in the deep sleeping state, there is no body, there is no mind, which means answer is right now there with you. That is why in the spiritual philosophy we keep saying self-realization. We don't say ego realization. All the answers lie within you. That is where the process of yoga helps and the study of Vedanta helps. Your answers lie within you. The answers to life's questions lie within you. All the answers to life's questions are within you because you are living your life. All you need is to look, listen, and trust. All you need is to look, listen, and trust. You will have to look at your own body, look at your own fingernails. Whenever you cut your nails, they grow back again. What a magic is happening in your body. Just look at your own fingernails. How is it that backside of the nail there is blood moving and gradually the blood cells become nail cells and gradually it becomes so hard. At the bottom of the nail, it is nothing but flesh and blood. And how come blood cells become nail cells? That's a great magic. The same thing will not happen with a dead body. This is happening only with the living body. What a great magic. All you need is to look, listen, and trust. Look at your own body. Listen to your intuitions. Every human being has got something called manasakshi. Every human being has got something called conscience. Many times they may suppress the conscience or they may ignore the conscience. Otherwise, every human being is having this particular conscience. Many times, because of their own ego, they may submerge the conscience and they may defend their own acts. But otherwise, conscience is there. Listen to the conscience and trust the Lord. Trust the Lord who himself has become life. Now the 10th one is really very funny. 10th rule, he says, you will forget all this. All these 9 rules are told about life. Now naturally, you will forget all this. Why you will forget all this? You will get lost in your own illusions. You will get lost in your own material pursuits. You will get lost in your own physical ambitions. Most of the time, people will get lost in earning money, spending money, earning money, spending money, earning money, spending money. That is a vicious cycle. That is why he says, you will forget all this. If you forget all this, you will have to come back where lessons are repeated until they are learned. Even if you forget, you will be made to remember the lessons. This is a beautiful collection of 10 rules. If that is the case, what is the reason for ignorance? What is the reason for ignorance? The first ignorance is form and name are provided only to the body by nature and by parents respectively. Read it once again. Form and name are provided only to the body by nature and by parents respectively. My name is Aravinda. The name to this body is given by my father. But in nature, there are so many other creatures. They don't have any other name. All the naming is done by human beings only. Human beings only are calling a cuckoo, a peacock, a dog, a cat, a bat. Human beings are calling. in their own language. Otherwise, in nature, they have no name as such. But form is given by nature. Bird will have wings, cow will have 4 legs and tail, cow will have 2 horns also. All these forms are given by nature. So form and name are provided only to the body by nature and by parents respectively, which simply means that whatever name is given to the body, that is not important. People should not identify themselves with their name, because name is given by some other person, some other people who thought that they are the owners of this particular body. For example, if my father and my mother, if they keep thinking that I am their son, and on that particular assumption, they keep calling me as their son. Okay, they have been instrumental for the creation of this body. So they can keep calling me as their son, and they have kept a name for this body. They can keep me identifying through this name. But the point is, if somebody says Arvinda is a donkey, Arvinda becomes angry. If somebody says Arvinda is a monkey, Arvinda becomes angry. If somebody flatters Arvinda, Arvinda becomes happy. If somebody scolds Arvinda, Arvinda becomes angry. And always, if Arvinda keeps relating himself to the name, question comes, is Arvinda a name, or is Arvinda beyond the name? Most of the times, in the Indian context, when a child is born, both the parents will look for a suitable name for the child. Sometimes they will consult the astrologer also. And in the modern days, they will search in Google for beautiful names. And sometimes they find a beautiful meaning also for that particular name. Whichever name is having a very good meaning, they search for that. And then they keep that name, that particular person. Now it is the job of the person, or the role of the person, is to live up to the name. Let us say for somebody, name is kept as Ananda, and let us say that particular person is frustrated lifelong. That was the case with my own father. My father's name was Ananda, but he was always under one or the other frustration due to various reasons. I'm not going to tell all those details here. Partly it was his mistakes, partly it was the family members' mistakes. So many ignorant and stupid activities my own grandfather and my father had between them, due to which both of them suffered for decades together for silly misunderstandings, very silly misunderstandings, and simple ego issues. Both families suffered for decades together. Even though my father's name was Ananda, he was hardly living up to his name. So, form and name are provided only to the body by nature and by parents respectively. If at all somebody has a name called Santosha, then he should understand that he should live up to his name now. That is the challenge. Now you may ask me, sir, have you lived up to your name? I'll say yes, definitely yes. My name is Aravinda. Aravinda means lotus flower. Lotus flower's roots are on earth. Its stalk is in water, and the flower is in the air. And flower is blooming towards the sky. And the flower blooms whenever sunlight falls on it. That means Prithvi, Apaha, Tejaha, Vayuhu, Akasha. All these 5 elements are indicated by this lotus flower. That is why in the Hindu mythology, always they use lotus flower as a sacred symbol, because this lotus flower indicates, or lotus plant indicates, all the 5 elements. I have understood the way in which all these 5 elements combine together to become life. That will be evident in my third presentation. So, I am living up to my name. Similarly, all of you, the listeners of me, find out the meaning of your name and ask yourself, are you living up to the meaning of your name? If not, then better learn this lesson, correct yourself, start living up to the meaning of your name. Then your name is really meaningful. But the ignorance, the reasons for ignorance is many times people identify themselves with form and name. Just like I told you, I gave an example of Moon Sen. She was identifying herself with the form. And this is an ignorance because form is given by nature, name is given by parent. Whereas my basic abilities or my intellectual abilities or my learning or my character, all these are different from form and name. Of course, in my case, the name Aravinda and the way in which I have understood nature, they are matching with each other. But that is a beautiful coincidence, I can say. But many times, let us say for a particular person, a name called Vivek is kept. Viveka is kept. Viveka, the meaning of Viveka is Nitya Anitya Vastu Viveka. This is the definition which Adi Shankara says. What is permanent, what is temporary, if that is understood, that is called Viveka. Or discrimination is called as Viveka. Now that name is given by the parents, form is given by nature. But the person may be different from the form also, from the name also. Because we will become whatever we want to become. It is up to us to decide our own fate. So the reasons for this ignorance, whatever are the 10 lessons earlier, why you will forget all this he has told? Because ultimately people will keep on identifying themselves only with the form and the name. Next reason, ego identifies itself with the form and the name, which is due to natural maya. There are two types of maya now. One is natural maya, one more is social maya. This natural maya is necessary. For example, my father and my mother should feel that I am their son. They should. Only when they feel, my mother will have an inclination to feed me milk, and my father will have an inclination to take care of me. So parents should feel that the children are theirs. But actually, the child is designed and manufactured by God himself. This is a natural maya. God has imposed this particular maya or illusion on every moving living being. Even when a hen lays its eggs, hen will have a lot of attachment towards the eggs. So that hen will sit on those eggs and incubate the eggs so that the chick will come out of the egg. So naturally the hen will feel that eggs belong to it. Even though the egg contains only albumin and protein inside, hen will have an attachment. That is called natural maya. Even when a bird is building its own nest, the bird will keep on thinking that the nest belongs to it. Maybe in the next rainy season or when the wind blows, the nest may fall down. Still, as long as the bird is involved in building its nest, it will have an attachment that the nest belongs to it. This is called as natural maya, which is very much necessary. If natural maya is not there, no parents will have attachment towards their children, and the children may perish. For this reason, God has put some amount of illusion into the minds of the moving living beings. But this is not there in the stationary living beings. This maya is not there with the trees and the plants. They are all stationary living beings. We call it as Sthavara and Jangama. In the Sthavara living beings, this is not there because they don't have ego. They don't have brain. Whichever is a moving living, it requires a brain. It requires an ego because it is moving. When it is moving, it has to remember its experiences. So brain is required. And naturally, the moving living being should be feeling that its own offspring belong to it, that only then it will take care of them. So this is called natural maya. This normal course of life, the ego does not put efforts to understand its true nature. Why people will not try to understand their own true nature? Because their mind is always going outward. It is supposed to go inward. It is supposed to understand itself. Instead, as soon as they wake up, they think that the awakened state itself is the state of achievement for them. They don't understand what exactly happens in the dreaming state. They don't understand what exactly happens in the sleeping state. According to most of the intellectual human beings on this earth, sleeping state is an ideal state. Actually, sleeping state itself is a divine state. Awakened state is the state where karma is there. In the sleeping state, there is no karma at all. But they give heavy importance to the awakened state only for the physical achievements only. So then, in the normal course of life, the ego does not put efforts to understand its true nature. Why? Because in the syllabus of education, it is not there. No school has it, no college has it, no university has it. They don't have a syllabus of self-realization. Unfortunately, in most of the spiritual places also, this syllabus is not there. Even in the so-called spiritual centers also, thousands and lakhs of devotees will keep coming. They'll offer a lot of money to the spiritual center, and the spiritual center will have branches all over the world, and that is how a monk becomes a millionaire. Whether the art of self-realization is taught there, it is doubtful. So the ego does not put effort to understand its true nature simply because nobody is teaching this art of self-realization to anybody as such, except for the true lineage of the rishis. I cannot say there are no people on this earth who are teaching self-realization. There are many people. But they'll never become famous because they'll not put any efforts to become famous. There are many people. It is up to you to seek. It is up to you to search, because everything is a personal choice here. Everything is a personal choice. As in its normal course of life, the ego does not put efforts to understand its true nature. What happens next is, this is due to mental conditioning, which is due to social maya. This is a social illusion, and it is due to mental conditioning, where as soon as a kid grows, people will start asking, what will you become? And the kid will naturally say, I'll become an engineer, I'll become a doctor, I'll become a soldier, I'll become a pilot, I'll become a painter, I'll become a singer, I'll become a sportsman, I'll become a film actor, all these things. Okay? Nobody will ask the child, will you become a better human being? Let us say a child says, when somebody asks, what are you going to become? Let us say a child says that I am going to take up sannyasa. People will mock at it and people will say it is wrong. But think about Adi Shankara, who asked permission from his own mother for taking up sannyasa. Think about him. His mother permitted him. He became a Jagat Guru. Without him, I would not have ventured into studying Vedanta. If I have studied Vedanta and understood, my heartfelt thanks to the pranams of the lotus feet of Adi Shankara. So he told his mother that at the very young age, he asked permission to take up sannyasa. But whenever now kids are growing up, they are put into a mental conditioning where it is just for physical achievement, for earning more money. That means they are made into money-making machines. Now again, don't ask me, sir, is earning money bad? No, earning money is not bad. Earning only money is bad. Along with earning money, you earn other things also, no? Earning only money is not the purpose of life. I'm going to tell you later on about the negative effects of that. So there is one natural maya, and there is one more social maya. It is very difficult to overcome the social maya itself. If at all the effects of social maya are overcome, then gradually natural maya can be easily overcome. Overcoming the social maya requires very fierce, independent thinking and very stable, matured mind. Otherwise, people become scapegoats of this mental conditioning itself. So these are all the reasons for ignorance. Now, at the level of human cells, the vitamins are A, B, C, D, E, and K. At the levels of human minds, the vitamins are J, L, and M. this is my own terminology. You already know about vitamins A, B, C, D, E, and K. This is at the level of human cells. But at the level of human minds, it is vitamin J is for jealousy, vitamin L is for lust, and vitamin M is for money. Jealousy. I'll quote a small example of mine. Nearly about 14 years before, I quit my industrial job and I joined into an engineering college as a faculty member. Even when I was in industry, I was involved in corporate training and I used to teach very well. I used to frame my own syllabus for the given course and I used to mix philosophy, spirituality, and technology together. And along with the technical outcomes, I always used to end up each batch with some spiritual outcomes. I used to give them very good tips about how to live a better life. Later on, I joined into an engineering college. I continued the same effort there also. In each of my classes, I used to tell one story. I have been telling many stories in these sessions also, right? Same way I used to tell one story in each class. Gradually, those students liked me. Actually, classes started from August month. September 5th was a teacher's day. So the students liked me. On a teacher's day, what they did was, they had brought a big greetings card, and in the greeting card, they had written all their names. All the students of that particular section had put their signature. And principal was called into the classroom. Head of the department was called into the classroom. Other teachers were also called into the classroom for the Teachers' Day celebration. Cake was brought and they cut the cake. And principal gave a small speech. Afterwards, we all dispersed. The students gave me that big greetings card and they gave me a small box of gift. And I took it all the way to staff room. And when I took it all the way to staff room, many people were watching me. I was thinking that something was burning. Next day, the students came and told me that later on when the students went to meet the staff members, one of the lady staff members kept on telling them that they have been there in that college for more than 4 years. Nobody gave you no chocolate. The person who came yesterday, day before yesterday, for him, what big greeting card, what cake cutting, what chocolate. Okay. This was told by a teacher, that to a lady teacher. That is when somebody might have told that jealousy, thy name is woman. All my women audience will become heavily angry on me now. So that I call it as vitamin J, jealousy, and vitamin L, lust, and vitamin M, money. Partly women yield into jealousy, men yield into lust, and both will yield into money. That is how they become victimized by the mental conditioning, by the social conditioning, and gradually they spoil their own minds. Minds are supposed to be going inward and purifying themselves, and memory was supposed to be cleansed. Instead, they corrupt their own memory by means of these dirty feelings of jealousy and lust. And almost everyone on this earth, whole and sole purpose of them is only to earn more money and spend more money, earn more money, spend more money, become a money-making machine. Okay, there is a question here. Ego identifying itself with names is present only with humans. So isn't it also due to mental conditioning and hence social Maya instead of natural Maya? I cannot label this identifying the name as social Maya. Of course, naming is part of the society itself. But it is up to you to live up to the meaning of your name also. No. Humans are given this freedom. Speech came out of nature only. Speech did not come out of society. The speaking ability was imparted to the human beings by God himself, not by society. That way, that naming, I cannot put it under social Maya. I'll have to put it under natural Maya only. Because language itself is coming out of the mind and out of the consciousness. Linguistic ability is not the outcome of society, whereas constructing different languages is part of society. Okay, that is the answer. God created Maya with a divine purpose. Humans started Maya with a mundane purpose. In case of God, there is a Maya or illusion that is necessary. Okay. Whereas with humans, without any necessity also, they started developing their own illusory thought process. God's Maya is the love towards people. It is like emotions towards children, parents, relatives, which is required. Parents should have bonding towards children. Children also should have bonding towards parents. And you should have bonding towards your relatives. For that matter, if you like me, then you should have a bonding towards your own teacher. If I like you, I should have a bonding towards my own students, which is very much required. We have to feel for each other. We should regard each other. That is God's Maya, which is the love towards people, which is very much required. What about humans' Maya? Humans' Maya is the love towards things. They are more of thoughts, wealth, status, power. In the initial few years of life, the only purpose of life is to earn money, then through earning money, earn vehicles, flats, buy sites, and buy more buildings, or buy some industries. Okay, keep on increasing the wealth. Then later on, have your own social status and maintain your status. Some of the millionaires in this Bangalore city, they never travel in metro train, they never travel in BMTC bus. Why? They have to maintain their own status. They cannot come down that way. Traveling in a BMTC bus will be highly impossible for such people. They will immediately think, what is my status and how can I climb into a dirty BMTC bus? But in the BMTC bus, daily, thousands of people used to travel. But these people separated themselves from the mainstream. They say that they have a status now. So this is humans' Maya. They classified people themselves as lower class, middle class, upper class. In that also, middle class also, upper middle class, lower middle class. This is status. Initially, they spend a lot of their time in earning money. Then they start using that money for buying different things. And then, as they are unstable and as they have enough money, they keep on changing their things. They keep on changing their TV at home, washing machine at home, fridge at home, furniture at home. Many times interior decoration, they keep on changing. Sometimes their own spouses also, they will keep on changing. Their in-laws, they may not be able to change. Their parents, they may not be able to change. Their in-laws, they will change if they divorce and marry some other. They will change their in-laws also. They'll keep on changing their friends also. So, they get confused when they are happy. When they are happy. As long as their purpose is to keep on investing their money in the physical materials, when they will be happy. So next status is what? After the status, they want to have power. They want to rule people. They want to have their own empire, where they want to have more and more of employees or more and more of people on whom they can show their power. So this is a human Maya. Initially it is wealth, then it is status, then it is power. That means human Maya is love towards the things, because of which self-realization become far away. That is when Charlie Scott told the 10th point is you will forget all this if you get lost in this particular human's maya. Now it is very difficult to overcome the human's maya. One day I went to Udupi temple. In the temple there was a small banner. It was written in Kannada as Gita Lekhana Yajna. I casually asked, what is this? Then the person at the counter told, we are going to give you one Bhagavad Gita book. You will have to take a 200-page notebook and you have to write the verses in that book. After you finish the book, you can come and give it here. We are constructing a Gita Mandira here. In that Gita Mandira, we will keep your book. Then I told, what for? If I write the book, why should I give it to you? Then he said, while writing, you will come to know. Later on, you can give it here. We just want to motivate people to study Bhagavad Gita. If we don't tell you to write, you may not write. And many people will feel that whatever they wrote, if you preserve it in this Gita Mandira, they will feel happy that their book is preserved here in the Gita Mandira. That is our reason. Then I asked, what will I get after I give you the book? Then he said, once you give the book here, we will give you prasada. Then I was thinking, oh, only that. I'll have to give money and purchase the book. Then I have to write on my own. Then I give it here. They will give prasada and they will keep the book there. That's all. I was thinking that way. Then I took the book all the way to my home. In the front page of that book, it was written that before starting writing the Bhagavad Gita, you should follow all these rules. There were about 10 rules. And those rules were not to smoke cigarette, not to consume meat, not to take dowry, like that, not to tell lies, like that. Nearly about 10 rules were there. And in the preface, it was told that book was written in Kannada by Bannanja Govindacharya. And it was told in the preface that if you are ready to follow these 10 rules, then only you start writing the book. Then I thought, okay, this is a big task. This is a sacred task. It is not as easy as the person on the counter told. Then I thought, let me see. Let me follow these 10 rules. And let me try to write. That is when I decided, let me follow these 10 rules. One by one, I kept on writing the shlokas. The same assignment I told to you people also. Now, in the process of writing that particular book, whatever I write, I read. Whenever I read, I understand because it is in Kannada translation. The translation also I used to read along with the shloka. And all those 700 slokas, the gist of the teaching remained in my memory. And that is when an animal became a human being. Otherwise, I should say that I was a normal animal. Human beings are mostly animals only. But I truly became a human being after I completed the task. And even today, I live up to the teachings of the Bhagavad Gita. I took up a vow on myself that let me follow the teachings of this book and let me see what will happen. Let me see. And whatever is told in the book, that has happened in my life. In every moment of my life, it is He who has taken care of me. Even at critical, dangerous situations also, He has taken care of me. That is the grace which I have received. That is when I have been telling you that you also practice. Now don't be stingy or don't be calculative that what will you gain. You will know what will you gain once you complete the task. You will have a contact with Him. Somehow you will overcome the human's maya. Okay? And because of the following of all those rules, I had many frictions with my own father, with my own relatives. I had many frictions. My own relatives used to tell me that you are an outcast fellow. You don't drink alcohol. You don't consume meat. You are unfit to be in our caste. I told, it is my decision. It is my life. Whatever you want to do, you do. Don't force me to do whatever you want to do. And I isolated myself from them. When I started writing that Bhagavad Gita, I had a letter writing habit with my friends. One day I wrote a letter to my friend who was staying at that time at Bahrain. And in that letter, I wrote that I have started writing the Bhagavad Gita. I was of the age of 24 at that time. My friend wrote a letter back to me saying, this is not the age to read Bhagavad Gita. You should read Bhagavad Gita at the age of 60 or 65 after your retirement. Now you should not read Bhagavad Gita. And I was thinking, everybody should understand the spiritual existence in the young age itself so as to have a meaningful life. But my friend was telling me, this is not the age to read Bhagavad Gita. Later on, many people also told me that this is not the age to understand all these things. After your retirement, you should do. Then I should ask those people, so until your retirement, you will keep on committing sins, you will keep on committing mistakes, you will keep on spoiling your own mind and body, and at the age of retirement, you will read Bhagavad Gita. What will you understand? You will have a corrupted brain, you will have a corrupted speech, you will have a sick body, and at that age, you want to read Bhagavad Gita? Their point was, if you read Bhagavad Gita in the young age itself, you will become dispassionate, you will become a sannyasi. Bhagavad Gita never says anybody to become sannyasi. In the Bhagavad Gita, throughout it says only one thing, that is karma yoga. Being in life, respecting life, becoming useful. That is the essence of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita never says to go away from society. That is a misconception which these people have been having. So I used to think how stupid these people are. Hindus are supposed to be acclaiming the book and Hindus are supposed to be studying the book. Instead, some Hindus keep saying that if they have Ramayana and Mahabharata at home, they will have war there. What stupid thing? That means if you have Ramayana at home, your wife will be kidnapped. If you have Mahabharata at home, then you will have Dyuta and some Draupadi will come there. What type of stupid nonsense people talk about? Then I thought, most of the Hindus are only tindipotas. In the name of God, they will have hefty lunch, they will have festivals, they will eat a lot, then they will do nothing about self-realization. This is what is human's maya. Human's maya is the love towards things. Because of this human's maya, they develop 8 types of arrogances. Dharmada, Vidyamada, Kulamada, Rupamada, Yauvanamada, Balamada, Parivaramada, Adhikaramada. Initially, it is arrogance of money. If somebody is having, let us say, the bank balance is maybe around 1000 rupees, he will have a less arrogance. Somebody who's having a bank balance of, let us say, 10 lakhs, he will have a higher arrogance. Somebody who's having a bank balance of, let us say, 10 crores or 100 crores, think about the arrogance. Vidyamada, somebody who is only PUC, he will have a lesser arrogance. A degree holder will have a larger arrogance than a PUC person. A postgraduate will have a larger arrogance than a graduate fellow. A PhD person will have a highest arrogance compared to even postgraduate people. In fact, with more of knowledge, arrogance is supposed to get reduced. But what we are seeing is, in fact, with more degrees, they will develop more amount of arrogance. In our college, we keep on allocating invigilation duties to many professors. And in the invigilation duties, we don't write their prefix like Mr. or Mrs. or Doctor or something like that. We don't. Because during invigilation duty, that 3 hours of invigilation duty is the common rules for everybody. For a professor or for a lecturer, it is not different. It is the same. So we don't write the prefix in the register. But some professors who come there, they only write their own DR and put a dot there. Sometimes they quarrel with the examination team that their prefix is not put there. If they are doctorates, they can show their efficiency in their classrooms, not during the invigilation duty, but they exhibit so much of arrogance. Then I used to quip there saying that these doctors require a treatment of a doctor now because they are mentally sick people. With more degree, they are supposed to become more humane. But we are seeing the reverse there. That is when I used to say that in the most of the teaching profession itself, we see many cheaters there. Unfortunately. Humans maya again. Wealth, status, power. Kulamada, arrogance of caste. There are some caste like specifically Reddy, Gowda, specifically Naidu. The amount of arrogance which these particular caste have, the other caste will not have. I have observed this. The Brahmin caste and a Lingayat caste will have a lesser amount of arrogance compared to the arrogance which is exhibited by the Reddy caste and the Gowda caste and the Naidu caste. Why Lingayat and Brahmin will have a lesser amount of arrogance? Because spirituality is part of that particular caste. Whereas in Reddy and Gowda, spirituality is not part of that particular caste. And they keep on exhibiting their arrogance. I think around 2 years before or 3 years before, I was in charge HOD in our department, and one particular student had some issue. There was some eligibility issue in a particular course. And I simply told no compromise can be made. The policies of the institution will be followed. Now the parent did not know how to speak English. I did not know how to speak in Telugu. This parent came and started asking questions in Telugu, and my colleague used to translate that Telugu into English. Now the parent used to say, డబ్బులు ఇచ్చిండాను కదా ఎందుకు ఫెయిల్ చేస్తాడు? Parent used to say, I have given money, no, I have given donation money, I have given fees also, I have given lakhs to the college. Why do they fail? This was the question of the parent. Then I used to say, డబ్బులు ఎక్కడ ఇచ్చిండారు? Where have you given money? Not to the department, no. You are given to the institution as a contribution for education. It is not that you have purchased the teachers or you have purchased the college itself. These people exhibited their arrogance as if they have given the money and they want to get the degree. He heavily quarreled with me. I did not budge in. He went all the way to principal just to find out that whether with principal also something will happen. Even principal did not do any compromise. Because it is all academic policies. We cannot violate any academic guidelines. So they could not help it that way. Still they exhibited that they have given money. That is the arrogance of that particular caste. Now, if there are Reddys who are listening to my session, you need not become angry on me once again. I am not labeling to all the Reddys. I am just indicating that how some caste will exhibit their arrogance. That is called Kulamada. Rupamada, arrogance of appearance. I have already given you the example of Moon Sen. For that matter, not just Moon Sen. Why should I keep blaming her again and again? So many such film actresses or even some film actors, they'll have the arrogance of their own appearance itself. And Yauvanamada, arrogance of youth, especially the age between 16 and 24 is a very delicate age. At that particular age, hormones are being pumped out into the bloodstream. And with the males, it will be testosterone. And with the females, it will be estrogen. And in that particular age, they think that they have become adults. They have not yet become adults. They have become adolescents. But they think that they can overpower their parents, sometimes their teachers. In this particular age, in general in society, what happens is, they will start ignoring the instruction of the parents and they will have more and more bonding toward the friends. And many times, they will confuse lust with love. Love is something divine. Love is something unconditional. Because of the effect of estrogen and testosterone, they think that they are into love. Actually, it is some lust. In their own language, it is something called crush. Actually, it is crushing them. And in this particular young age, they will be unrestful. They cannot sit together in the classroom also for a few hours. They will be unrestful. The same youth, when they were children, they used to stay inside the classroom in their schools. Once they come to college, we are dealing with them day in and day out. Once they come to college, they become unrestful. Even a little bit of scolding, they cannot bear. They immediately start thinking, who is he to scold us? What rights he has got to scold us? They keep on exhibiting this arrogance. That is called Yauvanamada, age 16 to 24. Now, after they cross 24, when they gradually become adults, then they will come to know how stupid they were in their youth. Most of the time, many mistakes happen in the age between 16 to 24. Many crimes will happen the age between 16 to 24, because at that time they will not be knowing what they are doing. Suddenly, in a rush of anger, in a rush of hatred, they do something nasty or something guilty. Sometimes lifelong they will suffer for some mistake which they did in this young age. In our college, I keep seeing many students becoming drug addicts in this particular age. And many times, even our advisors also, they don't follow. Even if we punish them, they will take it negatively. And I think that at that time, I think that they'll take their own time to understand why we teachers are like this, why there is discipline required, why there is punishment required. It takes its own time for them to understand. Until then, teachers should have a patience to deal with such crowd. Balamada. Let us say you have enough physical power. You are stout and strong. Then that anybody who has got physical fitness, he will have his own arrogance of strength. Parivaramada. Arrogance of family. Let us say your parents are rich enough, and let us say you have relatives who are highly placed in politics. Let us say your uncle is one MLA, and let us say your grandfather is a MP. Okay, let us say your uncle may be a chief minister also. Now you have a arrogance of a family, that I belong to such family. I'm not blaming everybody who is having political connections. They all have arrogance. Actually, I had a student in our college. He had a high level political connection. But for the whole 3 years when he was in our department, he never exhibited any arrogance. He remained very polite and obedient. That way, I cannot say that every person is like this. But I'm telling in general. In general, people will have arrogance of family. And adhikaramada, let us say when you have such a position, let us say you yourself become an MLA or MP, let us say you become a police officer, let us say you become an IAS officer. What will be the arrogance? Arrogance of position. So these 8 arrogances, dhanamada, vidyamada, kulamada, rupamada, yauvanamada, balamada, parivaramada, adhikaramada. All these 8 are because of the human's maya. It is not natural maya. God did not create money at all. Humans beings started using money. Earlier, they used to have a barter system. Afterwards, gradually, there was ore used out, and they started extracting metals out of the ores. And gradually, they had copper, then they had silver, they had gold. Gold was one of the noble metals. So gradually they gave more value to gold compared to copper and silver, and they started using gold coins as an exchange of matter. Afterwards, after so many centuries, now paper currency is used where it is only a logical value. If there's a 2000 rupee note, it is basically a paper. That paper does not have a 2000 rupee worth value, but it is designated as a 2000 rupee worth note. It is a logical value. Whereas in gold, it used to have a physical value also. So that way they started using paper currency. So God did not make money at all. Human beings started using money for their exchange of matter. Now for most of the human beings, earning money is the only purpose of life. And gradually, with the money, they have Vidyamada, Kulamada, Rupamada, Yauvanamada, Balamada, Parivaramada, Adhikaramada. How can we expect that somebody will have self-realization? How can we expect that out of those 10 rules which Charlie Scott told, the 10th one is now correct? You will forget all this. But then again, Charlie Scott says, lessons will be repeated until lessons are learned. Because you are given a body, whether you like your body or not, it is to be yours, and you are supposed to learn lessons. All the lessons are within you. So it requires a lot of refinement. If at all you have to be fit for self-realization, lot of mental refinement is required so as to overcome the social maya. There are 6 enemies. Especially I think this was preached fully by Mahavira Tirthankara, and later on it became part of all spiritual teachings in India. Kama, Krodha, Lobha, Moha, Mada, Matsara. Lust, wrath, greed, infatuation, vanity, and jealousy. These are called Shad Ripus or Shad Vairis or Arishad Varga. Look at this. Women want a lot of things from one man. Conversely, men want one thing from a lot of women. Vitamin J and vitamin L. Together it is vitamin M. Women want a lot of things from one man because they want to make neighbors jealous by getting a lot of things into house and exhibiting that they have these many things at home. Conversely, men want one thing from a lot of women. Vitamin L, lust. And for both of these, they keep on spending vitamin M, money. How can we expect that the women or men, if as long as they are involved in this particular vicious cycle, how can they come out of their own karma? They cannot. That too, this is a dushkarma. That vitamin J, jealousy, vitamin L, lust, vitamin M, money. All these 3 are going to contaminate the human mind. And too much of attachment towards these things. How can you overcome the human maya? And how can you refine yourself? It requires courage. It requires a lot of self-discipline, determination. You will have to unlearn a lot of whatever you have learned till now because you have been wrongly educated. This is what Upanishad says, Andhen eva niyamana yatha andhaha, as if blind people are showing path to other blind people. Now at least now you'll have to open your eyes and take a U-turn and come back. I am waiting at this side to take you to the other side. In general, there is a corporate human psychology. In this corporate human psychology, there are employees and there are bosses, there are middlemen. Employees work harder, bosses also work hard and make others to work hard. Middlemen in between only make others to work hard. I worked in a company for nearly 8 years where I was an employee and I had a boss, managing director. In between there used to be DGMs and GMs and MMs, marketing managers, general managers, deputy general managers, they used to be there. Now these middlemen, they only make others to work hard. They will not work hard. Employees will work hard. Boss will anyhow work hard and he will make others to work hard. Now the employees have no choice. They should have their livelihood. For their livelihood, they will have to work hard. Bosses will have higher ambitions. They want to have better industries and they want to manufacture better products. That is their higher ambitions. Whereas the middlemen will be showing off as if they are very loyal to the bosses also and they are showing their powers on the employees also. Now the irony is gradually employees themselves will become middlemen. After a few years, definitely the youngsters will be promoted into DGMs and GMs. And at that time, they want to show their loyalty to the boss. They want to exhibit their power to the employees. Again, I am not telling that all of them are like this. I am telling in general. My industrial experience tells me that this is what is there. And I worked in a company for 8 years. It was having a technical collaboration with Ericsson, Sweden. Unfortunately, the company got closed because of middlemen. Even though we had a very efficient boss, even though we had very good employee strength, the company suffered because of the middlemen. That is why I have put this slide here. And employees have no choice because they want to earn a decent livelihood. Bosses, they want to build an empire. Both are fine. But middlemen, for staying in the position, they will stay that way. Look at this picture. What happens in the corporate lifestyle? How the customer explained was this. How the project user understood. Whatever customer wanted was a swing with 3 steps there. Project understood only 1 step. How the engineer designed. He cut the stem of the tree and he erected 2 branches, 2 sides. That is how engineer designed it. How the programmer wrote it. Programmer wrote it as if the swing is lying on the ground. How the sales executive described it as if there is a sofa set on the swing. And how the project was documented. No documentation at all. There is no tree, no swing. What operations installed? It is simply a rope there. How the customers were billed as if it is a roller coaster. How the help desk supported it. Tree was cut. What the customer really needed a tire with the rope. This is how most of the times, because of the lot of the communication gap, this is what happens. I'll stop with this slide for today. In my tomorrow's session, I'll tell you a story about the communication gap itself. I'll end my session for today. Let us meet again tomorrow at the same time. Take care. Bye-bye.